Notes?
I have notes.
How do you have notes?
I have Brittany, who collects the notes.
Dude, your wife is rad.
Alright, we're going to do an intro. Everyone be quiet for a second.
Okay.
Okay.
That's quiet. Prop live. Whoosh.
Yeah, hey! Hello, fellow maker. Welcome to Prop Live Q&A, your weekly prop and costume making question and answer session. I'm Bill, and today we have...
I'm Joel, the 3D printing nerd.
That's right. Joel is one of our good buddies up here in Seattle. He's joining me for a slightly later edition of Prop Live. We've got a couple of tasty, glowing beverages.
These are wonderful, by the way.
That's right. It's a dark and stormy.
Cheers,
in
my
a
friend.
December 2001 commemorative Lord of the Rings glowing glass.
It does glow. I mean, you can see.
I believe
that.
we got these at McDonald's.
Brittany got these at McDonald's.
Brittany got these at McDonald's. Yes. Awesome. Hey, we're going to talk about 3D printing today.
I know a thing or two about that.
Yeah, we've been doing lots of 3D printing stuff. My 3D printer is running right now. The Ultimaker's going. And in the other room, the Taz, or Lulzbot Mini.
Oh, you're doing some flexi stuff with that, weren't you?
Yes, that is also running right now. So, Jackie says, Bill, you look lovely with your makeup tonight. Great job doing your own. I didn't put any makeup on. I woke up this beautiful.
Oh, this is the young light.
Yes.
This is the young making light.
So, we've been doing our Prop 3D series of videos.
Okay.
Doing that Stormtrooper helmet and a bunch of other cool projects. And we get lots of questions about 3D printing, and I don't know all the answers. And while Joel doesn't know all the answers either...
I do not know all the answers.
He probably knows more than I do.
Well, if I don't know the answer, I usually know where to point.
That's good. I feel the same way about prop making. I don't know all the answers, but...
that's why we have community.
That's why we do. Super duper quick, Brittany is reminding me that we have updated our prop wall directly behind us. Look at that. That's not even all of it. We had to rearrange a little bit and put some hand cannons well over
so
there.
good.
Yeah. So the other day we live streamed us rearranging all of our props. Most of those props were sitting on the table, and now they're on the wall. They're safe up there, and now we actually have space to put stuff on the table.
You have space for more props.
Yeah. There are more props not hung up just over there. Also, I don't know if you can see it, Joel, but you see the table that the Fresh Prince is sitting on?
Yes.
I made that out of a pallet. So you can just call me Izzy Swan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, is it drill powered?
No. Actually, Izzy makes a tool that you use to take pallets apart. Like,
really?
That's a thing he sells.
I know he makes a lot of stuff out of drills. I didn't know he sold a pallet
He does.
disassembler.
Pallet tool? Yeah. One of these guys. A pallet breaker, pallet buster.
Okay.
It's a commercially available thing.
I had no idea.
And I really could have used one of those.
Were you putting in a thing going tick,
Just
tick,
a crowbar and a hammer.
tick, tick. That's funny.
But, I mean, Britt kept telling me it has rustic charm. So, awesome.
It does have rustic
We watch
charm.
a lot of woodworkers on YouTube. Cool. So, let's kick it off here. By the way, gang, if you're watching live, if you have a question, specifically any 3D printing related questions, you can submit those over at punishprops.com/live. There's a little form there. Fill it out. That'll send it over to Brittany, and she'll add it to the doc. It's the best way to keep all those things wrangled so that I don't have to try and catch things in the chat.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it works out pretty great. Also, if you're listening to this not live and during the week, you can submit questions at any time. Anytime you want to. We will answer it on the show. So, you just got back from New York.
Yes, I did. I was at New York Maker Faire, and you were missed.
Ah.
You and Brittany were missed very much.
I saw you and Bob, and I've never met Angus. There we go.
Maker's Muse.
Yeah, I've never met
Angus.
him yet. I would have liked to meet him. He's been in the States twice now, and I missed him both
you missed
times.
him both times. He and his girlfriend were actually there, and they got to take the trip to New York because after Maker Faire, they were going to visit some of her family.
Oh, that's nice.
In the area. So it worked out pretty well. But it was a 23-hour plane ride back home,
goodness.
And I believe they each caught a bug.
Oh.
I know.
What did you see at Maker Faire that you thought was pretty cool?
Let's see. Prusa released his i3 Mark III 3D printer, and that's phenomenally cool, and it's probably one of the things that the 3D printing community was most abuzz about. It has a lot of really cool features. It has a lot of really cool additions. It looks the same as the Mark II, but at the same time, it's a little bit more idiot-proof, if that's the right way to say it.
I need me some of that.
It's a really nice machine. Also, the $99 resin printer by Ono that was there and actually working. They've been at 2 or 3 Maker Fairs now, and this is the first time they've actually had a unit working at Maker Faire. So that was it. It still remains to be seen of whether they're going to be able to deliver a $99 resin printer, but I mean, baby steps. And I mean, let's be honest, it does the community no good to see these people fail.
Right.
And so I don't wish them any harm. I'm skeptical, but at the same time, I want them to kick a lot of butt.
So it's cheap because the source, the light source, is your phone.
That's right.
Which is kind of a really neat idea.
It's an interesting idea because you get a lot of resolution, and especially with newer phones with denser screens and tighter pixels and smaller pixels, you get more XY resolution from the printer. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, most of us only have one phone, and if it's sitting in the printer for 6-7 hours, I mean, we may have to go outside, we may have to walk or exercise or read a book.
You might have to use the bathroom and read your shampoo bottle again.
Oh,
that's the worst.
That's the worst. But it was interesting to see. So,
but
that was
overnight
notable.
Though, if you're going to do it overnight,
you could do it overnight. That's right.
So anyway,
there was one other thing though I wanted to mention.
Go.
Am I
was
cool
it the BFG 9000?
No, but that was cool. The BFG 9000 was there. So my buddy Michael and his friend Adam of Midnight Giant, they 3D printed the BFG 9000 from Doom, and it's 37 pounds of plastic. It was printed on 2 different CME CNC Rostock Max V2 3D printers, and sanded over the course of 2 days, 2 weeks, I don't know, some extraordinary large amount of time. And the issue they were running into, and the issue everybody was running into, is that it was more than 90 degrees in New York for the Maker Faire days. So all of the booths with 3D printers were having trouble. Prusa was showing me that a roll of PLA was actually starting to stick to itself.
We all know that props can melt. Yeah.
Apparently, you know a thing about that.
Core Geek is in the chat. He's super stoked. He says, my favorite 3D nerds.
I love me some Core Geek.
And Jackie Kraft says, that's too many LBs. I agree. Pounds.
Oh.
Jackie's really hip, Joel.
That's super hip.
It's very hard to keep up with Jackie.
Oh my god.
What was the other thing you were excited about?
Oh, the other thing I was excited about, Dremel is coming out with a 3D45, a new 3D printer. It's going to have a heated bed. It might be dual extrusion. I didn't get all the details on that because I was busy hovering over the Dremel laser cutter.
Oh, that's right.
It looks like the Muse. It looks like the full spectrum Muse, and it's technically the full spectrum Muse. But what the salesman said was that it has a different re-engineered power supply and a completely new UI and UX on the touchscreen.
All right.
Plus, it will probably come with the chiller. So normally with a laser cutter, you have to circulate water around the tube.
One right over there.
So with what Dremel's doing is they have a chiller unit, and it's a closed loop system of coolant that keeps the laser cool regardless of how much water you have in a bucket near it. The full spectrum guys, they have that as well, and they're trying to promote it now because it was just developed. So it's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited to hear how much wattage and how much it costs. For reference, my full spectrum I bought all the stuff that came with it. I spent about $4,500 on it. It's 45 watts.
Yeah, the Muse is 45 watts.
Yep.
And the Dremel one, being the same laser tube, is most likely going to be 45 watts as well. But with what Dremel's offering, they're offering the Dremel name behind it and the Dremel support. Not that Full Spectrum or Epilogue or anybody have bad support, but Dremel support, and I'm hoping some more education because with Glowforge, you're going to get more laser systems in houses, and it just means that we're going to need more people knowing more about them for safety reasons.
Do it safely.
Yeah.
By the way, gang, I have been showing clips from Joel's YouTube channel, which you guys should all go and subscribe to right now because it's awesome. You're almost at 150,000.
Almost 150K.
It's exciting. Very exciting.
It's a little bit difficult to maintain the pace I was at, and so everything has leveled off to an even, 100 to 150 new subs a day.
Look at this 3D printing props from Destiny. I can get that.
I printed that on a Delta machine just to prove that it could, and I printed at ludicrous speed.
All right, cool. That sounds awesome. Although Maker Faire sounded really great. I didn't make it to any of the Maker Fairs this year, but that's all right.
Okay. There's more next year.
No, that's not true. I went to the mini Maker Faire in Seattle.
How was that?
It was all right. It wasn't New York Maker Faire. It wasn't Bay Area Maker Faire.
But it was at Mopop,
cool.
Right? So they do it up in that. Oh, that's okay. That's cool.
It was really fun. My Enclosure, I think, is rubbing against stuff over there. Speaking of enclosures, I've been printing with ABS a bunch.
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
I'm actually super excited to hear about your experiences with that, because normally ABS is a nightmare for some. There we go. Yeah, it's a specific challenge.
So, the couple of things. The main thing is that getting stuff to stick down in the bed is a problem. Mm-hmm. So, my buddy Harrison over at Volpin Props does all of his prints in ABS. As we know from the testing we did, the super scientific testing we did, ABS is the easiest to sand.
Right.
Way easier than PLA. So I have an incentive to get good at printing with ABS. So I printed this built this enclosure. It's all out of insulation foam. I also added my label finally for the name of our printer, which is the Fresh Prints.
Oh.
And I printed... Oh, can you grab that red and white gun right there?
Yes.
This was all printed, my most recent project, all printed in ABS. Ta-da! With one exception. But sanding this was so much easier than sanding PLA. The exception is that inside the breech here... I think that's a breech. I don't know what gun part
inside the gun part.
This part in here is nylon. For durability.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's definitely not.
Yeah.
Man, that is
pretty cool, huh?
Space gun smooth.
Yeah, it is. So the prints off the Ultimaker in ABS inside the enclosure all came out great. I didn't have any adhesion issues or anything. Now I'm printing myself Thirst Zapper from Fallout 4 in there right now, because I figured I was doing a live show. I should probably turn this machine on. And I had a couple of issues printing. The nozzle was too close, and it was printing really thin. And then I just had a little bit of issues with stuff sticking. So I mixed up a tiny bottle right there, that little bottle of gray. It's acetone and little hunks of ABS dissolved.
We call it a slurry.
A slurry. And I just brushed that all over, and it made a mess. But that's something I noticed with Harrison's printer. All of his Ultimakers he prints on ABS, he never cleans them. The print surface is just like the surface of the moon. But that's good, because that's hunks of ABS plastic that's stuck to the bed.
Almost welded to the bed.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
Except when a hot piece of ABS gets squirted over it.
Right.
It holds it down.
That's right.
So, like, this printer is probably going to be the ABS printing machine, and I just never clean the surface.
There's nothing wrong with that. No, ABS slurry is a great way to go, but it's not applicable for some people's print jobs, because that mess, when you pry your print off, sometimes you get some of that mess on the print, and people don't want to have to clean edges. People don't have razor blades.
I'm going to sand it anyway.
But you're going to sand it anyway, so it makes complete sense for you to have that.
How much ABS printing have you done?
Back in the day, that was the first material I've ever printed with. And I printed all of the cookie cutters for my Etsy store in ABS.
All right, cool.
But now, I don't, at all. I have hundreds of rolls of PLA.
I bet you wish you printed all those Lucio gun parts in ABS.
That would have been cool. That would have been really cool. Although they're covered in feather fill, which sands really easy.
Which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
So that's coming up. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I mean, I'm going to finish that gun for myself, because I never got one. I don't know if I'll do a video on that. I already did a video on that in PLA. But I made Alex over at Matter Hackers sand it. Other stuff. The other printer, the Lulzbot Mini in the other room, is printing NinjaFlex right now.
Cool.
We're doing some tests to make glove robot parts for Brittany's Sweepy Bot.
Oh.
So a finger, like a robot finger that will get sewn on. We want to try and make it so that you can sew it onto a glove. So.
Oh.
And then paint it, and it'll be flexible.
Are you going to try printing flexible onto material itself?
Yeah, I want to try that too.
Okay.
For this glove application, it's a little late because the glove is already done. It's already sewn together.
Makes sense.
But for other applications, I really want to try that. It'd be really great.
Sewing is a great idea because the flexible material will take a needle fairly easily. I mean, more so than the rigid plastics. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be an impenetrable hold.
Yeah, the NinjaFlex I'm printing with is amazingly durable. Mm-hmm. It is surprisingly durable. So that's exciting. Look for that. We'll have a video on that, unless it doesn't work.
I'm going to watch that video.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
A quick reminder, if you're watching live, you go over to punishprops.com/live, and you can submit a question. I think, what else? Another cool thing with the dead man walking. I did a video recently. I did a little upgrade. So some of the parts that hold it together, I put threaded screws directly into the plastic. And instead, I remodeled it with sockets on the bottom for hex nuts.
Oh, just little push inserts or
yeah,
whatever
I just popped them in there and screwed it in from the other side, and it held really well.
Oh, that's great.
But then I had some awesome comments on YouTube that enlightened me to these things. Threaded heat set inserts, specifically for 3D printing. So this is a threaded thing you push into a hole that's in your 3D print with like a soldering iron.
Yep.
It melts it just enough so that it goes in, and then when it cools, this is set in there, and then you have a metal thread in your 3D print.
These are what's great. What people the first application that I knew of people using those for was beer tap handles.
Oh man, that's so cool.
Doesn't that make sense?
So now that I know this exists, like you can get it. This is a quarter or 1032, but like there's a quarter 21. You can get them in a whole bunch of different sizes,
and they're cheap.
Yeah, it's 20 of them for $12, and you can probably get them cheaper elsewhere.
Oh yeah,
but
for what they do, they're invaluable.
Yeah, it's super cool. So that's something I'm going to keep in my back pocket.
Good idea.
That's one of the reasons why I love doing YouTube stuff, because that's something I was completely unaware of until I put a video out there, and then a handful of people are like, dude, you gotta try this. I was like, yes, I do!
When you get a valuable, insightful, well thought out, or just helpful comment on YouTube, it's almost life-changing, because you're like, holy cow, I didn't realize that. And then you go about doing something new, and it's fantastic.
Alex in the chat says, I used a threaded insert to fix my car.
That's a fantastic idea.
And Core Geek uses them for woodworking. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different types of threaded inserts. There's ones that you can screw in to a piece of wood. Then these ones, they aren't threaded on the outside, but they are grooved.
Right, so when you heat them up, push them in the plastic melts around it, and it holds it in place.
Yeah. There are these other ones called Coil, which are basically like a screw, kind of.
Whoa.
But it's tapered. And so it's basically threaded on both sides. And you get a little tool, and you just use that tool to... There's a tap, there's a thing.
Okay.
And you screw that into a hole, and then it's threaded on both sides.
Cool.
So that's like I guess Coil is a brand, and that's their little solution.
Oh,
there.
okay.
Yeah. So, awesome. That's cool. Thank you, everyone who...
that's super duper interesting.
Yeah, who helped out there. That's so awesome. All right, let's tackle some questions. We got some good ones here. And thank you, Prop Tarts in the chat, for playing along and sending us some questions. Let's see here. Deruso. He says, how does someone handle this much awesomeness? He says, hint, you guys are awesome. Thank you.
That is Jeffrey Deruso. He is a very helpful member of the 3D printing community. He does a lot of really great design work. He's awesome. Down in Southern California. If you're going to TwitchCon, are you on TwitchCon?
Actually, bad news, gang. We're not going to TwitchCon. Oh. We were planning on it, but it didn't happen. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, we're going to be at BlizzCon like a week after that.
That's a good point. Okay, but he's down there. So cool. if you if you're ever down in Southern California, you might get the chance to meet him.
Well, thank you, good sir. Let's grab another one. Double Bomb Prop says...
That's a sweet name.
Says, how important is the build size of the printer? He has a Prusa Mark II, and for the second one, he was thinking a G-Max. But then Prusa decides to debut what looks like the smartest consumer printer ever last week. What do you think? Joel knows a thing or two about giant printers.
Well, the build size of your printer is important to what you want to build. If you're just going to print cookie cutters, for example, you don't need a G-Max to do that. But if you're going to print props and cosplay items, and you're confident in your ability to print, then you can get something with a larger build volume to accommodate that print all in one size. So on the G-Max, I can run prints that go for, I think, the longest one is like 140 hours, 140
wow.
hours, which is insane, but that's what it's built for. And that way, I'm not putting a bunch of pieces together.
Yeah.
But if you have a smaller build plate and a less build volume, I mean, as long as whatever you want to print can be sliced into model bits that are the size or less of your build volume, you're good to go. You just might use a little bit more CA glue.
Yes. Yep. Cool. I bet there are a couple of reasons why I want a bigger printer, but I can probably get along just fine with this guy, which is a fairly big print volume.
Sure.
It's no G-Max.
No. The G-Max, well, the new one coming out with the G-Max is going to be even bigger too. Jeez. But my G-Max will do 16 inches on X, 16 inches on Y, and 21 inches on Z. And the N2 Plus from Rays will do 12 by 12, but go 24 inches tall.
My goodness.
It's insane.
That's cool. Thank you for the question there, Double Bomb Props. Next one comes to us from Joshua. What are some good starter printers that are easy to get your hands on for cheap?
This is one of the most common questions that's asked within the 3D printing community, and it's hard for me to define what's cheap because I don't know what your budget is.
It's kind of a moving target as well, because new printers are coming out and announced every week.
It seems like it.
It seems to me like currently the CR10 is kind of one of the best bang for your buck as far as, especially with the amount of volume you can get out of it.
So the CR10, essentially, you can get it usually with coupons under $400 US. And you're getting it's 300 by 300 by 400 millimeters tall. So it's 12 by 12 by 16. It's Bowden tube driven, but it's not a long Bowden tube. It's only got a single lead screw on the Z-axis, but so the X-axis is kind of cantilevered, but it works. It just prints really well. It's crazy. It's so inexpensive for the size that you're getting. I mean, it's not like the Prusa machine has lots of bells and whistles to make it idiot-proof. This does not.
Yeah.
You can break it by doing wrong things, but you probably won't, and you'll probably get some awesome prints off of it.
I can say, if you're going to do a lot of 3D printing, this is kind of a spoiler for my outcome on my current project. Something like the Anet A8 is not something I can completely recommend for 3D printing props, I would say. Yeah. It seems to me like something like the CR10 or the Prusa would be a much better, I mean, granted, much more expensive, but much better value for money.
Right, and by expensive, you mean the initial cash outlay, because like we talked before, what is your time worth to you?
Yeah.
And I know people that have Anet A8s that produce amazing quality prints, but they've had the time to fix it up like crazy pants, and they got lucky.
Yes, that's the other thing, too. Mine, I just got unlucky. The one I got is just kind of not great. Great, good question, Joshua.
Very good question.
Comes to us from Brian. It says, Bill, in your finishing process for the tank trooper helmet, you started using the Acryl green spot putty instead of Bondo spot glazing putty. I was wondering what made you do the switch. Harrison over at Volpin Props started using the green stuff, so I copy everything he does. And it's a little bit more toxic. So
how little?
I don't know what the scale is.
Okay.
It smells worse.
Did you hallucinate more or less?
I haven't done any hallucinating in a while. But so working in a well-ventilated area, but it dries faster, which is the main thing that I like.
And it's sandable, paintable, all that?
Yep.
Ooh, okay.
So, yeah.
Is there a link where someone can go and find out more about this?
You know what? I'm willing to bet Brittany will put a link in the chat.
Brittany is
or
wonderful.
in the show notes at least.
Okay.
Thanks, Britt.
Thanks, Britt.
Next, that was Brian. Thank you for the question, Brian. Enjoy your toxic putty. Magically Done Creation says, I finally got a 3D printer. I had a question about software. Just getting started out, so we'll be experimenting with D&D minis first. I know you mentioned CAD and Blender. What would you suggest for making my own models for printing?
Ooh.
Yeah. So for more sculptural type stuff like minis, you may look into ZBrush or Sculptress. Now,
Sculptress. I forgot about that one.
Now this is uncharted territory for me, but I know those are the ones that the people are using for the things. You could do quite a bit of just polygon modeling in something like Blender or Maya, but that doesn't seem to be what the people are doing. That's more for like making video game models and animation.
I think so.
So, for more organic sculptural type stuff, then look into ZBrush and Sculptress. I believe Sculptress is the more cost-effective solution.
Oh.
Something's rattling on that printer. I don't know what's going on. But if you're making space guns, use Fusion 360. Woo!
Hey, anything with the right angle, you're good to go.
Or angles in general.
That's true.
Just sharp edges. Great. Thank you, Magically Done Creations. Let's grab another one
That's
here.
a great name.
Oh, speaking of 3D modelers, we got Obsidian Props in the chat.
What's up, Obsidian Props?
Fantastic 3D modeler. Distemper has a thing. There's a link. Let's see. Getting my first 3D printer from Kickstarter, the QBot.
Oh. Okay.
Not sure what filament would be best to use, PLA or ABS.
Yep.
What is the QBot?
Yep.
This is it.
Yep.
Joel knows about it, apparently.
Yeah, I do.
Oh boy, they raised a whole lot of money.
Yeah, they did.
So is this now? I know on Kickstarter there are many cheap 3D printers that are being kickstarted. Does this kind of fall into that category?
This, the QBot has a very interesting story, and it seems for a company trying to bootstrap something to get a printer out there, they sure had a lot of money for marketing. And they advertise their printer as it looks better than other printers.
Okay.
And it's cleaner and safer and filters the air. It's more so than the other printers. So they haven't gone about marketing it in a way that I thought was proper. But who cares what I think? As far as
almost 150,000 people care what you think, Joel.
Some of them must be robots. But as far as the material, the QBot, I don't have my hands on one. They've reached out and asked me if I wanted to review one, and I may or may not, depending on my schedule and what the conditions that they stipulate are. I would recommend always starting with PLA. It's the easiest filament to print with, or one of the easiest, if not the easiest. And you can get an idea of how to work the machine, how to work the software, and not waste a bunch of money or filament. And then once you're confident there, because I know they talked about it having a heated bed, you can try some PETG, which is good stuff. I mean, you go crazy and do like Bill does and get some ABS because it is an enclosed chamber with a filtered fan output.
Something I will say, people were talking about printing with ABS, not wanting to breathe in the fumes. With the enclosure on there, I don't smell any ABS.
I don't smell anything.
Unless I get right up on that thing, which is great. Now, I could put a vent on that with like a filter, like an activated charcoal filter. It'd probably be a good idea.
No?
But from here, I can't smell it, which is awesome.
I don't think activated charcoal can capture the emissions.
Really?
Yeah, I think it has to be like more of one of those like allergen filters.
Oh, like a HEPA filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Which I should probably have in here anyway. There you go. So just start with PLA anyway, just because it's easier. That's what I did. I did lots and lots of PLA.
Yeah.
Let's see. That came from Distemper. Thank you. Next one comes to us from Matthew. The school/museum/prop fabrication restoration shop I work for is looking for a good all-around 3D printer with a budget of approximately $5,000.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, Matthew.
You could get a couple of good machines for that price.
Yeah, you could get an army of machines for that price.
Like a couple of...
they could get a Form 2, they could get a Prusa machine, and they could get a CR10 and have money left over for filament.
Oh, I want all of those.
I know.
Those are all machines that I want and don't have.
Listen,
I think you nailed it.
I did. Matthew, I completely understand why you're asking this question, and I completely understand why the school, museum, prop fabrication restoration shop has a budget for a thing. But don't look for a single printer.
Yeah.
What you want to do is look for a couple different types and a couple different sizes. So the form is going to give you this amazing detail,
like small parts.
With small parts,
Yeah.
they have
Like
all
my
sorts
ring.
of different kinds of resins that can withstand temperatures, pressures, or even flexible.
That's not good.
You're going to want to get an FDM printer, so I would highly suggest the Prusa machine. Get the Mark III when it comes out, because it's going to be incredibly easy to use, and it's going to print like a dream every time, I guarantee it. And then why not get a large format 3D printer like the CR10, because it's just so insanely cheap for what you get, and
you can print pretty big.
You can print really big on it. So you've covered big, small, FDM, SLA, and you'll have money left over for resin and filaments.
That's awesome.
I think
that's the perfect answer.
I really think that's a good answer.
Cheers, Joel.
Cheers.
Good job.
Cheers.
My tooth.
I heard that all the way over here.
How is my Form 2 doing, by the way? Is it comfortable?
I hug it occasionally.
Yeah. No, tell it I said hi. And hi from our friend Redbird Props in the chat.
Hey, Redbird
Who's
Props.
been doing a little help behind the scenes over here at Punish Props.
Aw.
Thanks to her.
Aww.
Habiteer Workshop says, I'm thinking about setting up a table at an upcoming Houston Maker Faire. Do you have any tips for first-timers at Maker Fairs?
Ooh.
I mostly sell 3D printed props and cosplay stuff, so I'm not sure what I should bring. Brett has a link called Make Something's... Craft Show Checklist. Our buddy David Pichudo did a video about doing craft fairs with a cool checklist. Good catch, Brett. I completely forgot about that. You know David.
I do know David.
Yeah, this guy.
He's a good dude.
He's an awesome guy. So we'll link to that video. You can go check it out. I'm sure Brittany will throw a link to it in the chat as well. Have you ever done a booth where you tried to sell stuff?
Never where I tried to sell
Yeah.
anything. I've always been had a booth just as a, look at stuff, but never for selling. So
Yeah.
I can't really speak to that.
It's going to be hard to really feel it out until you've done a handful of them.
Really?
Yeah. And also, the weird thing is, different conventions have different vibes. So, like, Maker Fairs, or even just the Maker Faire you have, it may be the kind of place where people are attending not expecting to buy anything. Like, that just might be the prevailing attitude at that con.
Oh, just as a show and tell sort of place.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you never know. You're not going to know too much until you've done a handful of them. So don't get too frustrated if you go there and no one buys anything. But the best thing you can do is just be super friendly to everyone. Say hi to everyone. If you're behind your booth, you see someone walk by and they got a cool T-shirt on, let them know.
Yeah.
Start conversations, get chatting with people, and get people interested in what you're doing. Even if they're not going to buy anything, at least they can be stoked about the things you're making.
And you may have made a future sale that way.
Cool. Have fun. Good luck, Habiteer Workshop.
Good luck.
Our friend Jackie Craft has a question.
Ooh.
I wanted to ask about printing flexible materials. Boom! I'm printing one right now. In fact, it's probably done. The one piece that I printed is probably done. It's going to be a whole hand.
Oh, but they have a good question about the Bondtech stuff, so I'm looking forward to
Cool.
talking about that.
Some extruders like the Bondtech BMG might dominate because of how they have a PTFE liner. I don't know any of these words. The TAS 6 recommends something like the Flexi extruder. Okay, cool. I have the Lulzbot Mini with the Flexi extruder, and it is dead simple to print with.
Yeah.
I use their version of Cura. I go to the drop-down list and say Ninja Flex. I hit print. And it has never not worked.
Really?
So I granted that is like a privileged position because I know other people have had issues printing. That's not true. I printed flexible material on the Sigma,
Oh, yeah.
which was challenging.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but I did it.
So what Jackie Craft is talking about, so there's something called the hub bolt. That's the gear that turns and is connected to the stepper driver. Then you have the idler bearing. That is a bearing. And so as you feed filament through, the hub bolt pushes the filament against the bearing, pushing like this and trying to force it down. So the PTFE liner is the thing that goes down the throat, so over the heat sink and down through the heater block. And if there's space between the top of the PTFE tube and the bottom of the gear, then if it pushes flexible filament too fast, it can bow.
Yeah, like shoot out the side.
And shoot out the side. So
it's like the 3D printer equivalent of a hernia.
It really is. It's literally, that's the perfect example. So what Bondtech does, and this is kind of interesting, well, what she's talking about, if you have the PTFE tube closer to the hub bolt, then it's not going to have that chance to pop out. But what Bondtech does is they have a gear, and instead of a bearing, they have another gear, and it actually pulls from both sides.
Yeah.
And that's why those work so well. The low spots made it good, though, with the Flexi Extruder.
And Jackie has a Taz 6.
Oh.
So I would recommend getting that Flexi Extruder because I've used that thing and it's been a dream. Absolute dream.
I've heard good things from Bill about it.
Just now.
Yeah.
I was there. Thanks, Jackie. Jazz has a question. I started experimenting with bigger extruder nozzle sizes.
Ooh.
Normally it's 0.4 on most machines, right?
Yeah.
Like 1.2. Like
that's the more
some of them are like giant.
So a good nozzle size to print resolution middle ground, where you can print a medium or large prop piece with decent detail. Yes. So I have a 0.5 nozzle on my G-Max, and I extrude at between 0.2 and 0.3 millimeter layer heights, and that seems to work out pretty well. The big one I just did that I haven't put a video out on, it's 50 centimeters tall. It's that astronaut from Matter Hackers.
Oh yeah.
And I printed at a 0.4 millimeter layer height.
Okay.
But because of the way I was doing the filament, I wanted to see the individual layers.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted them thick. So if you run your fingernails on it goes, you can still do that. But the detail is still there because the extrusions are exact. So you could run a little bit of Bondo over it and you'd be good to go.
Very cool. Yeah.
But the middle ground 0.5, 0.6, something like that.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
And then he also says XTC 3D and sanding or filler primer and sanding for days. Depends on the model. If I'm doing something that's a little more organic and I can get away with losing some of the hard edges, I'll use something like XTC 3D.
Okay.
If it needs to have nice, crisp space gun edges, I will sand it. I will use filler primer, and then I will sand it again. And then I'll probably prime and sand it one more time.
Probably sand it one more time.
Although this guy here, granted, ABS sands very nicely. I sanded it once. I did one pass of filler primer. I sanded it again with like 220, and then I painted it. So that came out pretty well. There are a couple of spots I know I missed, but
it's super smooth.
Only I see them.
It's super duper smooth.
So yeah, so short answer, depends on what it is you're trying to accomplish.
That's a good answer.
The Stormtrooper helmet has large, flat surfaces, kind of rounded. I went with XTC on that.
Oh, really?
Because I wasn't worried too much about losing any detail.
That makes sense.
Thank you, Jazz. Jonathan is curious, what's the biggest misconception about 3D printing? Crack the lid open, Joel.
I think the biggest misconception about 3D printing is that they are dangerous and you can't have them in your home because they emit all sorts of crazy toxins. And it's just not true. PLA is polylactic acid, and it's a corn-based. It emits some things, but you're going to get more particulates emitted into the air by walking on carpet than you will by printing with PLA.
Especially, hold on. Oh, it's hiding behind my head. Especially this piece of carpet from the Marriott at Dragon Con. That thing was gross.
That's probably... It probably has disease.
So I bought that on eBay.
Oh, you should have, yeah. ABS will smell bad, and you probably shouldn't huff the fumes. Like if Bill has his printer going here with ABS, and he sticks his head in there, and he breathes the air for 5 hours, that's probably not that good for him.
Right. I wouldn't.
But at the same time, you know...
There are far worse chemicals in that side of the shop.
We had the forest fires recently here in the Pacific Northwest, and air quality was poor, and people were still outside because they had to go, but that air quality was 10 or 100 times worse than anything you'd get out of your printer. The only time you really have to worry is with ABS is if you're overheating it. ABS will break down and start emitting legitimately bad things if you heat it past 300 degrees centigrade. It's like 320 or 330 centigrade.
And a lot of people don't realize it's the same thing with PVC plastic.
That's right. That's right.
PVC in it. If you melt that to the point where it burns, then it's going to release some pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah. So
you
that's
didn't know
kinda
you
like
had that hiding in your basement.
That's kind of the thing, right? It's people.
All
say,
right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good question, though, Jonathan.
It was
I
a
like
good
it.
question.
I'm going to start cruising through these because we're running out of time. We still got a lot of questions. Blizz wants to know, what's your favorite way to finish a 3D printed item?
I know what my favorite way is.
I just went over my 2 ways. What's your favorite way?
Well, my favorite way is to not finish it.
To not finish.
I like it. It looks like it's like Bill says. It looks like it has construction lines. It looks like a thing. It looks like I made it. Now, granted, Bill has changed my mind a little bit, and I do like to attempt to finish some things now, and it's cool. But I still like being able to print something and having the thing that it makes something that I can show off. And it may just be that that's because of the time that I have available to me. If I had more time, I might be more into sanding and priming and painting.
If Joel had more time, he would have sanded that Lucio gun.
Working on it.
We gotta have a sanding party.
I should probably.
We'll invite Core Geek. That guy loves to sand.
Oh, good. Okay. Oh, Core Geek,
One more,
you will be in heaven.
One more here from Blizz. Curious, how many high fives did you get at Maker Faire, Joel?
Oh, I got from.
And you counted because you had a high five glove.
That's right. Caleb from Make Magazine made that for me.
That's awesome.
It used an Adafruit board and a little display, and I ended up counting 284 high fives at New York Maker Faire.
Wow.
And some people are like, only 284, I thought you'd get thousands. And I rebut with, how many high fives did you give in one day?
There was a guy doing something similar at Dragon Con.
Yeah.
I think over the weekend he got something like 20,000 high fives.
Yeah, I bet.
I think
Dragon
some
Con's
people-
different, though.
Yeah, I think some people probably got a couple in there.
Probably, yeah, 2 or 3. I just went for singles.
Good questions there, Blizz. Thank you. DeRusso, another question from DeRusso. If you are making a prop, how do you make sure it doesn't break if it's super heavy?
That's a very good question.
I make sure that they aren't super heavy, but if I'm worried about stuff like that, I will mold it and cast it in something either lighter or more durable.
Oh. What about adding metal rods to
That's a good idea.
3D
You've done that in a
things?
couple of your
Yep.
videos. So, yeah, there's a handful of ways to do that. Something to think about, though, is like if you have a big prop that's all 3D printed and you drop it, part of it's probably going to break.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, and if you have a prop that's really heavy, you have to carry that around
Yes,
all con.
you do. I would recommend not carrying a prop that weighs any more than, say, 5 pounds. Believe it or not, that's 5 pounds feels like nothing, but at the end of the day, it feels like a lot. Next one comes from Nerdy Views. What's your... This is a silly question to ask Joel. What's your favorite PLA film? Maybe it isn't.
Well...
What's your favorite PLA?
Well, my current go-to PLA is probably my High Five Blue PLA.
Yeah.
That I made in
Protopasta?
conjunction with Protopasta. And a lot of people agree. It's really good. So it's based on the HTPLA V3 mix of pellets that Protopasta has, and some blue and some metal flake. That filament prints extremely well. Really, really well. It just lays down like butter. And you can print it anywhere from 190 to 250. And you can actually anneal it in an oven when you're done if you want to give it some strength. It actually realigns the molecules.
Oh.
Yeah, heating it to make it a little strong. Alex from Protopasta used that filament and printed a coffee mug and then annealed it and sipped coffee out of his annealed mug. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But
Cool.
beyond that, I like the Matter Hackers Pro line of filaments. I think that the colors are rich and deep, and I find that they print really well. And I also I really like the exotics that Protopasta offers, and so they've got magnetic iron and carbon fiber. Those are kind of fun to print with.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nerdy Views. That was a very good question.
That was a great
It wasn't
question.
a silly question.
It was not a silly.
That was pretentious of me to say. Lothcats says, will either of you be purchasing or receiving the Prusa i3 Mark III kit?
Huh?
I don't know.
Mine's going to be here in a couple weeks.
I let it be known via Joel that I would not mind having one. I don't have any reason to buy one, though, because I have printers already. I have more on the way. Joel has some printers I can use.
Yeah, oh, I've got a ton. Yeah.
My friends over at Level 52 have some crazy printers I can use.
When I was talking with Prusa at Maker Faire, he said he was expecting demo units to go out a couple weeks after Maker Faire. So,
but I would love to play with that machine and
absolutely.
And especially put some of those new features to the test. That'd be great.
Great, you can help me make that video.
Okay. Unless I get one myself.
Unless you get one yourself.
Thanks, Lothcat.
Then I'll help you make your video.
Artobot says, I've been printing with TPU, but getting lots of bubbles. Any tips?
Bubbles.
So that's like flexible TPU?
Yeah.
Okay. I have some of the, I haven't used it yet, but some of the Matter Hackers TPU.
Usually when you
Actually, I have, check this out.
What do you got?
This is, except for that is all flexible filament.
No way.
I was like, hey, I'm going to do experiments with flexible filament. People were like, bleh. So, you're wearing
set.
3D printed shoes.
I am wearing 3D printed shoes.
I haven't tried the TPU yet. Have
Okay.
you had any experience with it?
Well, not as much as I would like to, but as far as bubbles, that usually when you get bubbles in filament, in a rigid filament, it's because it's taken on some moisture. And that's the bubbles is the moisture evaporating in the mix as it's going through the nozzle. So with TPU bubbles, maybe it's printing too hot.
That could be. I don't know. I don't know much about. I've never had something like that happen, so I don't know. People are curious about the shoes. So instead of making you bring your feet up, I can bring up. Or there you go. There we go. I was going to show one of your videos again.
Here we go.
But that's a 3D printed shoe.
Here we go. This is a company called Feats out of San Diego, and they sent me some shoes to review on my channel because they're 3D printed. This is the third pair that I got because I actually found some problems in the previous one, and they took my feedback and redesigned part of the shoe.
Very neat.
Which I felt useful.
Thank you for the question, Artobot. Good luck. Sorry we couldn't help more. Tom at Tom's 3D probably would know more. Go buck him.
He would know a lot more, probably.
Corium9 says, hidden talent check. Do you have any hidden talents?
I can do this with my hair.
That's all right. I can do this. Ready?
Oh, you can do that one. Oh. Let's see. I can. I can lift things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
With your hands?
With my hands.
Okay, that's not as impressive as.
I'm stronger than I appear. People tell me. Yeah.
Just not superhero strong, just marginally, just like a little bit.
I've been. I don't want to. I don't know. I have a nickname from back in the day, but I don't know if I want to share this.
If it's inappropriate, don't share it.
It's really it's a poop joke.
It's a poop joke.
So I'll save it. We'll save it. That'll be Prop 3D After Dark.
That's right. They call him the extruder.
It's worse.
Thank you, Corium9.
Thank you for the question.
Let's chew through a couple more questions here. Christy says, I just inherited a 3D printer from my high school. What are some great starter projects for kids?
Oh, this is great. Go to tinkercad.com or go to Morphe. So Morphe is an app and a website, I think, that allows you to do cool things via the browser. Tinkercad is great, though, because it's a very simple web-based way of learning 3D modeling because you're essentially doing adding and subtracting of shapes. And with Morphe, it has an augmented reality display if you're using an iPad, so you can actually model something and then show it in the environment. MORF or PHI.
Of course, that's how you spell it.
Morphe. There we go.
There we
go. Bam! There we go.
Hey, there's a Starship Enterprise.
Yeah. Those are really cool. So Morphe, MORPHI, and Tinkercad, both great platforms for starter projects for 3D modeling and 3D design.
Very good. Yes. Anything you can do to get youngsters doing more 3D modeling.
Oh, and
here's something I believe is that if you're getting into making stuff and you haven't learned the basics of 3D modeling, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Because
I agree.
Like it is, for me, it's been super empowering. Because this gun that I made here last week, I dreamed it up on a Tuesday and it was done on a Friday. Like, and I did other stuff those days too, and that just was in my head. And then I modeled it twice. I wasn't happy with the first one, so I modeled it again.
Well, knowing modeling, though, you're going to approach the solutions for problems slightly different because you're going to have this added skill.
Yes. So yeah, getting youngsters in on that early sounds pretty awesome, and then they can go and print it. Like as a kid, how excited would you be if you like dreamed a toy in your head, made it on the computer, and then a machine just pooped it out?
Oh, believe me, if I was a kid nowadays, I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
Go to my YouTube channel and look up 3D printing fidget spinners. And I do 3 different tutorial videos on how to use Fusion 360 to create a fidget spinner. I try to talk about it in a way that makes it incredibly easily accessible for people of all ages. And at the end, 5 minutes later, you have yourself a fidget spinner model. There we go. The one with the green. That's the best one.
I believe you've done more Fusion tutorials than me.
Probably. But that was how I learned. I used Fusion to make a maker coin because I wanted to learn how to do it. And then I thought, well, fidget spinner should be super easy to make in Fusion, and so I did it just to prove that I could.
Thank you, Chrissy. Good question.
Good question.
That's awesome. I'm excited for you and your class. D-Van says, could the Anet print a basic prop, such as a sword? Yes, it can print it. That's as much as, like, it'll finish it, for sure. It'll definitely finish it. Depending on how good you want it to look, you're just going to have to do a lot of sanding. That's my life right now with that helmet, with the Stormtrooper helmet. Lots of sanding.
But, well, as far as cutting up into parts, so if your build plate is essentially a square like this, and you cut your sword into parts, then you can just stack the parts one right next to the other.
You could, yeah.
If you trust your printer and you want to print it all.
And design it with a hole through the middle so you can put a threaded steel rod through it.
And registration marks to stack it together.
So yes, it is definitely possible.
Yes.
Thanks, D-Van. Josh is looking to buy his first 3D printer. He's wondering if the Ultimaker Original Plus is a good printer for a beginner. Or should I look to another printer first?
Ultimaker makes fantastic printers. Bill has one.
I like mine.
I have some.
Isn't this one wood?
The Original Plus, if it's the original one, is wood.
Yeah, it's wood.
But, so, the problem, though, is the Ultimaker Original Plus, while it's still an amazing printer, it's older technology. And for less money, you can get yourself a brand new Prusa i3 Mark III, which has new technology and can print more filaments easier.
That sounds like the best bang for your buck. It's also not wood. It's also not flammable.
There are people with the Ultimaker Original Plus that say it prints better than all of the new Ultimakers.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Including Barnacles.
Huh. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh. Zach wants to know, I have a Robo R1, saw some R1s online that had an extended height mod. How would I achieve this?
That's an interesting question. So the Robo R1s are essentially i3 designs, which means that you just need to have a taller pillar.
Oh. I'm sure there's a YouTube video that someone has done to show how that's done.
Probably. I had an R1 Plus, but I had some issues with it, and so I ended up giving it to my uncle who likes to tinker with things.
Oh my, we have a bunch of questions, and we are running out of time. Let's see if we can grab a couple.
We got a couple.
More.
We got a couple in us.
Maker Geek says, when do you think you will start painting your water blaster? Oh, this is the oh crap, that's right. The blaster from, come on, Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner movie. That comes out this weekend. I meant to paint it before then, but
you can't go see the movie now.
But I made this instead. I'm gonna go. I already have tickets. I'm going on Sunday. So maybe boy, that might be fun to do on the live stream. That's a good idea. Maybe on Tuesday I'll do that. I don't know.
Ooh, you heard it here first.
This is in no way a commitment. A lot can happen in between now and then. And then he says, I've never done mold before. Do you think that water gun would produce a good mold? Any recommendations for a successful end product? You could totally make a casting of that. It's a squirt gun. I'll show you later. It's a squirt gun of the blaster from Blade Runner. It's awesome. Adam Savage got one. He did a video and tested about it.
Of course he did.
The only thing you have to worry about is there are places that where actually, because it's a squirt gun, I bet it's watertight.
It's supposed to be.
You'll have to see if silicone can seep in anywhere and plug that with clay.
Oh.
And then once you're done making the mold, you can extract the clay.
Okay.
Other than that, yeah, I'd make a 2-part mold of that thing. Oh, the trigger. Around the trigger where that piece moves, you may want to clay up that area.
But you could just using clay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be really cool.
Cool.
Let's see if we can get these last few. Ethan says, when commissioning a 3D prop for cosplay or display, what kind of quality do you think is acceptable?
Your level of quality and mine is probably a little different.
I just got a print done. So he commissioned someone else to print something for him.
Oh.
There were Z-banding issues, layer adhesion issues.
Oh, wow.
Under extrusion. I know I can sand it. So here's the thing. How much did you pay for it? So I'll give you a good example. When I was selling resin kits of Mass Effect guns, they were about $150 for a gun. This is a solid chunk of plastic, right? The most work you had to do was to sand the seam down pretty smooth, but my kits were pretty good about not having bubbles. You did not have to. You would have to scuff up the whole surface for paint, but you wouldn't have to sand and improve the surface quality.
Oh, okay.
So I think for $150, you got good value for money.
Yep.
Other kits may cost less, but they required more post-production work.
Oh.
So if you bought a thing like that and you have to put a ton of work into it, but you only paid $30 for it, then you kind of got your money's worth.
That's a total win. Yeah.
Now there may be other people who are really good at 3D printing, who have a machine that's super well fine-tuned and are printing things that are awesome, and you can just scuff it with some sandpaper and get it ready to go. Who sell stuff for cheap. If you find someone like that, then become a repeat customer.
Yes.
But Etsy is awash with people who have cheap 3D printers who are selling cheap 3D prints for not a lot of money that require a ton of work.
Yeah.
So you really do get what you pay for. It really depends on what you pay for. If you paid $100 or $200 for a print that you got to sand the crap out of, I'd be upset about that.
Yep.
If you spent $20 on it, then that's what it costs. Thank you, Ethan. That's actually a really good question. Thomas wants to know, I've seen micromesh for sanding used to polish resin. Would it work for using 3D printed parts? I don't know. I've never used it. I don't know.
I don't know.
You know what I did use? I went all Jimmy DeResta on my helmet. I used a razor blade and used it as a scraping card to scrape off. Yeah, to knock down the high spot, the really high spot.
Yeah.
It didn't get it perfectly smooth, but it definitely
But it worked.
Yeah, just scraped it down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good
but
job.
I've never tried micromesh. Stubborn Studio says, at what point is it more cost-effective to outsource 3D printing? Is it the frequency of printing or the cost of buying a printer and learning to use it? It's hard for Joel to tell that because he's got like 30 printers in it.
I have a bunch of printers and I have a bunch of filament.
You could literally cut up a print and tell all your printers to print it like a rifle, and it would all be done tomorrow.
It would be. I could do a rifle print overnight. Yeah.
If you are making props for yourself, then you should get a 3D printer.
Absolutely.
And learn how to use it and have fun with it.
Just like you know how to use any tool in your toolbox.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If it's something you're going to use more than a couple times a year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you only ever, do a 3D printed thing once a year, have Shapeways do it. Just do it at Shapeways.
Or find a local makerspace.
Yep.
Or something like that, but,
Or even better, get you and a
options.
couple friends to go in together on a printer.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, the barrier for entry of cost is lower and lower, seems like every month, so something to consider.
Cool. We already saw that one. I think we have one more from Redbird Props. Bill, how happy were you to shave off your old man Logan beard? All right, here's the thing about the beard. I liked how I looked with a big beard.
The makeup job on your face was amazing. That was Jack. Okay, just amazing.
Here's the thing. For a moment, I was watching beard styling videos, and I'm like, I could be a beard styling guy. But then you got to get products and hair tools, and you have to travel with them. Because if I go somewhere, and I travel a lot, if I go somewhere,
you need to bring your oils.
Yeah, I got to bring special combs and beard oils and all this stuff. And I like the pack light. Says the guy who has, they're not here, but crates full of costumes. But the biggest thing was that my mustache kept going into my mouth when I ate, and I would bite and pull out mustache hairs, which sucked.
Not cool.
So it was pretty great to trim it off. I think I might go a little longer than this. I trimmed it recently. It's a little short. I might go a little long. I
let my hair go lazily over New York Maker Faire. When I got back, I shaved it off. I took a selfie, and people are like, "Are you 12? What happened?"
It's because you don't have this thing going on here.
True. I don't have.
You know who's working on a pretty epic beard? Bob.
Really? I saw him. I mean, he had a beard at New York Maker Faire.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this guy.
Look at that.
Nice. Keep that crazy.
Look
Bob,
at that.
who is like 5 years my senior. Same with you.
What?
Without the gray beard. I don't know what's going on. Yeah,
he is. Wait, he's not that old, is he?
Bob is your age.
No. Wow.
He looks like a spring chicken.
He does look like a spring
He has old eyes, though.
Well, he has wisdom. He has
And
wisdom
4
behind
kids.
his eyes. Yeah.
I think we got through all the questions. If we missed any, I'm sorry, but you guys sent a lot of awesome
That
questions.
was a lot of great questions.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so very much.
You guys are awesome. Joel, you're awesome.
Dude. Ooh.
This was really great.
This was fun. Let's do this again sometime.
Absolutely. If you guys have more 3D printing queries, head on over to the 3D.pn. We'll send you there.
Yeah, 3D.pn, or you can go to YouTube and just look up 3D printing.
Yeah, the link that's right there below me doesn't seem to work at
for some reason.
this particular moment.
For some reason, my website doesn't seem to be online.
Yeah.
It's a database. It's a WordPress blog, so anything could happen at this point.
You probably updated WordPress and it broke it.
Probably updated WordPress.
Happens to me.
Oh,
3D, look
man.
up 3D printing on YouTube. You'll find Joel. Go over there, subscribe, tell him we said hi.
You'll find me and a lot of other great people with a lot of really great videos that will really help you along your way.
Other than that, I think we're good. That was another one in the can. Well done. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you all next week on another exciting edition of Prop Live Q&A.
See you later.
There's no video there.
Oh, no video.